25 entries at the Globe Future Makers Social Innovation Competition.
Wow!
So Bel, this is Bel Padlan.
Hello.
And JB Tan of iVolunteer. Thank you, Dini, for arranging. So he's here to talk to us. So nag-text kami. So the marching orders is to really share with us best practices in volunteer recruitment and volunteer management. Because according to our step plan, that's what we're going to work on the most for the next few years.
So, yung batch namin of iVolunteer, JB and I started in 2009 until now. So it's been like 9 years and we've been run 100% through volunteers. I think that's what Dini told us to share, no? Parang paano ba yung 9 years na yun with just purely volunteers. So this is me. I co-founded iVolunteer, yung new one. And then the goods store, we also have an e-commerce store where it aggregates all community-created products, because we were looking at, you can give volunteers to the communities, but a lot of these communities are asking us also, can you help us sell this peanut butter and all this? That got us to think that that could be a social enterprise that we can also enter in. But that's two different groups. So if you know anyone who wants those types of products, you can visit that website. Or if you know of any communities who have really good products but don't have access to market, online payments, online store, we'll be happy to carry them. 11 years I was with Procter & Gamble as in IT. And then I have just joined Google last 6 months. So very, hopefully, varied experiences. Maybe a quick introduction for those who don't know iVolunteer. This is our vision. This is our version of it. And it's very straightforward. Every Filipino, so regardless of age, whether you're working or not, whether you're young or old, we want you to volunteer. And it's volunteering towards nation building. And we are 100% powered by volunteers. In a nutshell, this is what people would feel or experience with iVolunteer. So we bridge, that's us in the center, we bridge the volunteer side with communities who need volunteers. So our programs on the volunteer side include awareness, education, and then move them to action. So really the website that you know of is there to make them click, sign up, and then go to volunteer. On the organizations and the community side, our programs include helping you on volunteer recruitment, and then some capacity building, especially on volunteer engagement. Sorry. Ayan. So I only have 3 points. What are the big things that work for us? And then I think I will not use up all of the time, so feel free to ask me questions anytime. So you can already ask me question now. The first point that I want to share is distinguishing your in which stage is your volunteer in. We have something called the volunteer evolution. This is based on our experience, and I think you can also resonate. So from people who don't know or don't care at all, so that's the indifferent side, up to the point where people like you, who are really passionate about your cause, that advocacy, and you really want to engage others to be part of your advocacy as well. So we're calling you guys the influencers. In between, there are different stages. I think you can characterize the people on the left side more on when they start volunteering and when they start to become interested. It's really about themselves, like about me. And you can use that energy of me to make that as a personal transformative experience. So, left side, these are the people na short-term volunteers. They don't want to be drowned with the big problem. They want what's for me. And usually, you can turn that into a positive, like what's for me to make me better. Very small impact. So we look at volunteering kasi as internal change, so transformative to the self, and transformative to the nation. So two folds we always look at volunteering. So the earlier stages of volunteering, people are more internal transformation. So you will not expect them to, say, give you a 10-page report of what happened to this and that, no? You cannot expect them to come every Saturday for the next 6 months. These people are really more to the experience, and you can use that to transform the cell. As they go along, and to your experience na, kayo na, ito yung mga leaders na, no? You are more towards, what can I do? What can I do outside? External impact. And then you seldom or like rarely more of like develop yourself, because you're already there in terms of advocacy, like your desire, your advocacy, this advocacy, you're already there. Nasa peak ka na of loving that advocacy. So less of that transformative. One of the big misses that I see with some of the organizations we work with, we have about 120 organizations in iVolunteer. Whenever we come to them and pitch iVolunteer for the first time, they always want the right side, diba? I mean, because that's the highest utility for organizations like you, right? These are the people who will stay with you for 1 year, who will do whatever work you ask of them, and so they will not be interested on the leftmost side mostly. This is where iVolunteer is actually focusing on, because a lot of organizations are already focused on the rightmost side. Why are we focusing on the leftmost, aside from being underserved? Because if you don't create this pipeline, funnel to eh. So if the base here, if the left side is not huge, you will have less and less of the right-hand side. Conversely, if you have a lot of these people on the left side, then you can develop more of these leaders in the future. That's what we're trying to pitch to our org partners. That if you want the next set of leaders like you guys, our experience is about siguro mga 5-10% or less of people you engage will most likely stay. And so if you want more of you guys, then you have to engage more base of this left-hand side. Another challenge that I always pitch to more mature volunteers and more mature social developer workers and all that, mga social enterprise, mga leaders of CSRs in their corporations, mga officers of NGOs. How did you start? I think, maybe I can hazard a guess, more than half of you started as a volunteer at one point in time. Someone just pulled you. And then, maybe you didn't like it. Maybe you were forced by a friend or a family member, or just because it was convenient, you would just live nearby. Or you were just looking for a place that you can belong, right? That's usually how you guys start. In the same way with me and JB when we were starting, that was it. And I can be very honest, my start into this volunteering and outreach was very, very selfish. I wanted to be the president of my high school. Yeah. Oo, tapos gusto ko na yung plataforma ako ng mga outreach. And then I started to I started to love it. I started to understand that it's not just as easy as dole-outs, right? So that also shaped our culture in iVolunteer, that we don't discriminate. Small effort of work may come from the right heart. It may not be the 100% na ito yung ideal, hindi sila ideal at the start eh. But that's your foot in the door, and that's where you can help them transform. Na parang rather than, ang dami naman yung kitang volunteers that they start, and then, tutorial lang naman to na isang Sabado. Wala nangyayari sa mundo, parang may EJK pa rin or whatever, di ba? Kung ano-ano na ano. And then they put a barrier for themselves. So hindi na ako mag-volunteer next time. So I become jaded. So what you want to do is, you get a lot of these people to start, and then you guide them through, like, saan ba napupunta yung effort, how do you use your effort well. The behavior of this left-hand side is medyo fluid and exploring. So I think you have to be embracing that mentality na 80-90%, maybe as high as 90% of people you gather in this point, you will not see again the next week. Right? But that's okay, because even if they don't show up again, a lot of these 90%, they will post in social media. They will tell their friends that, by the way, first time ko nakapunta sa bahay Chinoy, may ganito palang org. Right? And that's what you want, word of mouth. Right? Actually, I was just telling JB when we were climbing up the stairs na, ganda pala dito. I haven't been to bahay Chinoy. Right? And so may value. Even that one Saturday that you bring them in, they would most likely post about it. They would most likely share it. And then someone who is into culture, is into field child culture integration and all that, would probably hear that and then they would come. And so that word of mouth thing has value. They are looking for variety. So you cannot impose a lot of your preconceptions on them. Na parang, ganito lang. So what we try in iVolunteer is we give them a variety of places to help. So we have marketing where they can take just simple pictures, where they can post a blog entry. We have people who are more into sales, and so we put them into partnerships. So under my team, they talk to NGOs and try to convince them what iVolunteer is all about. We have people who like events, and so we put them into our events. So you have to have some variety in your offerings, because not every, so medyo tayo yung mag-adjust for this set of people. Not so much, but you try to be to provide them as much variety as possible. There are also short-termers, right? Kasi they're exploring it, so they would probably try this organization, and then tomorrow maybe I'm into tree planting, and then na-realize ko hindi talaga ako pang tree planting, dito ako sa kids and education. Okay. And then hopefully somehow they figure it out, and then they will say, okay, na-realize ko I'm into really the peace and order. And so they will come back and say, sino nga ba yung nag-engage sa akin noon? It was Kaisa, so let me go back. So that's the hope. What's in it for them, for these volunteers in this leftmost side, no? As I said, it's more of understanding of themselves. So that's why they're exploring, that's why they're testing out. They're also into their image. So like when I was saying, like they post, they would take pictures. It's about how my friends perceive me, how my family perceives me. And then they're into experiences. So yun nga, you have to provide them a variety of experiences, and you have to provide them a good experience of volunteering. Kasi when they come once, kasi di ba isa lang beses lang sila pumupunta, most of them, and then they did not get the right experience. So say for example, it was really about tree planting, and then pagdating nila, it was just picture taking. Walang tree planting na nangyari, and this is a true story. And that's it. Makakahon ka na. So that person will box you in his mind. This organization is blah, that's it blah, 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 blah. That's their picture of you. And they will tell everyone about that. Okay? So that's what they are. What's in it for you? Yun nga, they're the best ambassadors. I would probably say like, they're the best ambassadors. So these are more of, I hate to use this word, but they are the quantity, less of the quality, if you're looking at the output, right? So these are the quantity. And so the quantity, word of mouth, these are the best people to spread your advocacy about, that there's a Bahay Chinoy, that you are into peace and order advocacies, that you are into creating your museum to make it bigger. These are the people who you would want to spread that news out. They are also the fresh eyes. Maybe you'll have to take a pinch of salt to that, because like a lot, very opinionated people, right? So pagdating nila, bakit hindi nyo pa ito gagawa? Half of the time you would say, napag-isipan na natin yan, may rason na tayo. But keep an open mind. Even with us, iVolunteer, madami nagsasuggest. Bakit, naman, naisip naman natin yan, hindi naman na tayo bobo, di ba? But again, these are externals. These are people who are taking fresh eyes. And if you hear one thing again and again, then that would mean, even if you tried solving it out last time, maybe you need to solve it again. Kasi there are a lot of people who are pointing it out there. And so, And so you might there might be something there, and there is still wisdom in that fresh eye perspective. They're ambassador of causes, less of the org, right? So they would tell of the work that you're doing, but not about Kaisa. They might even forget your name, or they might even misspell your name, right? But they would remember the cause. And this is the start of your pipeline, if you're looking into that. Now, I think you know more of the latter part, but I will still cover. They are more clear on the why. Why are they staying? Why, amidst all the problems that of the problem of helping out, sila pa yung mali, mga ganyan, they still stay. They know their why. They're also susceptible to that burnout effect, right? They seek long-term and they seek impact. And so the watch out for these people is, pag hindi mo sila na-diagnose correctly, na nandito na sila sa mature stage, and you still keep giving them the menial, low-impact task, they will drop. Because they will feel like, I am not appreciated, I am not trusted, I want to do more, and yet they are blocking me. So maybe there is a better org that will use me. So that's the watch out for this type of volunteer. This type of volunteers, you give them problems. You don't tell them do this. So parang, hey, may problem tayo about how do we reach to more field shy, right? Give me ideas. Rather than, oh, sige, paka-start ng blog or paka-start ng Facebook page. No. So it's more of bringing them part of the journey and the problem solving. So what's in it for you? These are your leaders. They are already proven leaders. They can deliver. They have more loyalty to the organization. And these are people you can depend on. So these two slides, I just want you to be aware that anyone joining your team on the get-go, right, on the first time, you have to sense kung saan sila, because not every type of volunteer engagement would be the same for each volunteers. If you don't know where are they already, na parang bumalik, naka-experience na pala to ng Kaisa program before, and then nag-explore na siya, bumalik lang siya ngayon after 2 years. If you didn't know that, then you would assume na dito ka sa, hindi ka babalik, wala ka naman, parang hindi ka naman babalik next week. Ganun. Parang ako madi-disappoint ako, bumalik na nga ako and all that. Nag-self-introspection na ako at bumalik na ako, tapos ganito yung treatment. And the flip side also is the same, no, na parang you would treat the newbies as how you would treat, or you would force them to, oh, balik kayo. So, of course, you'll need to entice them still to stay, right? But if you really expect them na, I will only accept volunteers that are 6 months, then you miss out on this. Okay? Any question before I move to my second point? Yun yung actually medyo meat ng discussion, kasi I think that's what we've learned, encapsulated a bit. My second point is knowing your key prospects. Have you done interviewing people you want but still not are part of Kaisa? Not those people that are of Kaisa already, that are still new. More of, ideally in my mind, these are the people who will join, but they're not yet with me. Have you done interviewing of them? Have you done surveying? Have you tried to understand kung sino sila? So iVolunteer, so when we started, we just selected a demographic out of all of the demographic possible, right? We just said, we will target 20 to 30 years old individuals. Okay? No science on it. It was just more of, that's us. So we were 20 to 30 back then. Not anymore. That was us. We understood them. We know their journey. We know their pain points. They are the best ambassadors in the home because they are already earning. They may be helping out in the electricity, grocery, and so they can influence their parents, and then they can influence their younger siblings. So medyo influential sila sa bahay. They also have a new circle, which is their office. They also have their new circle, which is their friends. They are very friendly. They are the most active in social media. And so they are the best demographic for us. So parang, yan yung gusto namin. And then, as time goes along, we were analyzing our data, kung sino yung mga nag-volunteer, sino yung nagre-repeat, sino nagko-comment sa Facebook namin, nagko-compare kami. And true enough, they are the people. So, whether by design, kasi dinesign namin na gano'n, and so those are the volunteers that we get, or because really, tama yung pagpili namin, actually we're still trying to, but we really try to learn who they are. So, our volunteers are 3/4 females, right? And so our issues nowadays is how do we bring more males? Like why are they not signing up? Ano ba yung mga volunteer opportunities that they're looking for? Versus the US, because I was reading this book, Volunteer Engagement 2.0. In the US, a lot of volunteers are volunteering with their friends for the first time. Our volunteers are actually volunteering alone. So most of them are volunteering alone. They would most likely not tell their office mates on the get-go about it, but they will post. So parang hindi sila boastful, like, uy, nag-volunteer ako. Less of that, more of social media posting. Their key decision points is really my availability. First and foremost is really schedule. So in their decision making, schedule muna kasi may nakaplano na ako next Saturday and 2 Saturdays before that, so I only have a time 2 Saturdays from now. And so that's one of their main key inputs. The second, or in the top 3, is also advocacy. So since they're exploring, or some of them has some inkling already, then schedule and then advocacy. So is it on the environment? Is it on education? That's another one. And then location is also a decision factor for them. Ayan, so we put a picture, we randomly selected one typical iVolunteer user photo, and then we put some characteristics about that person. And we use this sheet every time we do planning, every time we create new services, every time we create a project or an event. Parang we look back at this. Is this going to be liked by someone like her? So we always ask. So we also develop our own volunteer engagement model. So we've done this training to our partner organizations, and we will invite you the next round. But we usually invite our partner organizations to come and join us on this training. So what we espouse is you start with your strategy and program, and it's really good that you're starting with this planning. Not all of our NGO partners do this. Like they have one service and they've been doing that service for a long time, and rarely do they spend to step back, look at the big picture, do this planning. But we always tell them, start with strategy and program. What is your strategy for the next 3 years? So you have your vision, which is the guiding point of vision is a 20, 50-year journey, right? You have to break it down to a 3-year or 2-year strategy. And then from your strategy, you create programs. And then you have to craft your volunteer program. Like why? So parang on the overall Kaisa program, where do the volunteers fit? So is it I want a volunteer program because I want them to spread the word. I want a volunteer program because I cannot reach this number of community beneficiaries just by myself. So what is the reason behind link to your strategy on engaging this volunteer. So the volunteer program will also contain volunteer development plan. So from recruitment until you develop them, so nandun lahat, right? But I think the most important piece of the volunteer program is, why are you setting up one? Because you can run an NGO fully paid staff. I mean, right? There's a lot of those non-profit organizations, fully paid sila lahat nagpapagalaw. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you really want going into volunteers and making them as one pillar or one key strategic ingredient to your success, then you have to be very sure why bakit tayo nag-engage ng volunteer, right? And for us, let me translate that to iVolunteer's case para mas concrete. For us, it's really just we preach volunteerism, and so pag walang volunteering aspect yung iVolunteer, right, doesn't fit well. It forces us also to learn, right? So if we engage volunteer, then that's most likely what our partner organizations will experience, and so we can share best practice, etc. So we force ourselves to have a volunteer program is 100% volunteering. It's not going to be most likely our strategy ongoing, na purely volunteering kami, but it was good, like at our onset that we declared we want to be run 100% by volunteers. It wasn't easy, it was really painful. But it got us to learn a lot. And then so parang from the strategy and program, it should feed into your, ito yung cycle, no? So you start with identification of the volunteering opportunity. So once you have your program, say it could be a health and wellness program, let's say, and then an aspect of that program is nutrition and feeding siguro every week. Then that nutrition and feeding, I need a coordinator for that, then that will be the source of your volunteer opportunity. So from strategy to program to opportunity, and then you start recruiting. So saan ba ako mag-recruit? And hopefully some of those will be posted in iVolunteer, right? Saan ba ako mag-recruit? Paano ko sila ma-hook? Your elevator pitch would probably help. And then from recruiting them to training them, preparing them before you put them into the task, and then closing them, which is closing is rarely done. So closing meaning, actually our practice in iVolunteer is, sige, isa-isahin ko na lang. So we identify, for example, we needed a social media channel owner. So we needed someone who will manage our Instagram. So we posted that, we recruited someone, and then when we did the recruitment, we will do the preparation. So in our preparation, we actually have a contract. So similar to when you have a full-time hired staff, we also have a contract like, why are you signing up for iVolunteer? What do you want to get after this period? And then we will also share there our expectations. So these are the deliverables. Ito yung pwede mong hinga ng tulong sa officers namin and all that. So, sinasign na nila, right? And then during the execution, they execute it. And then in the closing, we try to check kung yung sinulat niya na I wanted to practice my design skills, blah blah blah, dun sa start. And then after that engagement, did she get it? And then if she did not, then why? Because some of that improvement could have been ours, right? Bakit hindi namin nabigay yung experience na yun? And so the whole thing is what I was telling you about volunteer experience. So if if something breaks along the way, then it's going to be a bad experience, and then you'll most likely hear something from them na spread dun sa circle of friends nila. So yeah, this is the volunteer engagement. This is my last point. Lastly siguro, just one thing that we found that worked very well for us is hindi namin sila sinasalang dun sa 6 months, 1 year long volunteer agad. So the right hand side, so parang we always assume them coming from the left hand side. So what we do is we farm out volunteer opportunities that are only 2 months long. It's their way for them to know us. So parang iVolunteer is misconstrued a lot na parang kayo yung nag-tutor, hindi po kami yun. Sila po yung mga partner organizations po namin. So kung gusto niyo po mag-tutor, we can introduce you to them, no problem. Hindi kami nang-hoard ng volunteers. So parang may misconception about us, and so we really want them to know us before they fully commit. And so in that way, they deliver something concrete for us as an organization. They learn, and then they also learn if this is the right organization for them. After that 2 to 3 month period of project engagement, we ask them, so we assess for ourselves if this is a volunteer fit for us, because there are also people that we feel are not fit for us. So we either say internally if they are fit for us or not. At the same time, we ask them also, independently of our decision, do they feel like are they fit into the organization or not? It has to be yes, both camps. Like they are yes on their side, we are yes on our side. Before we proceed na, okay, then do you want to stay longer and we can have a role? So rather than an engagement, project engagement, we give them a role afterward. So parang staff yung tawag, volunteer staff yung tawag namin doon. And if it's a yes, then everybody happy. If it's a no, either way, then if it's a no for us, then we give them the feedback. So we feel that based on our interaction for you, you'd be best fit on another organization, or maybe we feel like it's a life stage. So maybe there are people who really want to help, but in their life stage, I think it's not the right time. So we tell them like, when you're done figuring out things in your company, kasi a lot of them are young professional, para when some of them are very new to their role, and then they're also putting this into their plate. A lot of volunteers can do that, but not all. So some people need to really focus first, and we are open with that. So and actually we encourage that they focus on what's important first for them. And so we tell them like, okay, you're new to your job, you have to adjust. We can talk to you again in 2 months. So we need to diagnose bakit ba nag-fail yung relationship. Sometimes it's them telling us na, I really want the tutorials type of organization, and so yeah, we can refer you to our partner. So may mga ganun din na instances. So in summary, I hope when you create your volunteer program, you think about the volunteer experience, and then you think about volunteer development. So not only what will Kaisa get from them, but also what they will get from Kaisa. Know your volunteers, and then lastly, to make it very important for everyone na parang hindi lang naman to parang kailangan na natin mag-volunteer. So if the volunteer program fails, and so okay lang kay Kaisa. And so the successful ones that I've seen it's really linked to your purpose and strategy. Na importante talaga siya sa strategy niyo na this portion of your strategy will fail or will not be that successful without the volunteer program. If your volunteer program is linked to that, your strategy that deep, then I think you will do whatever you can to make it successful, and so it will become successful. So yun, I hope it was insightful. I'm open to questions. There's a lot more to say, but I mean, it's 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So thank you for inviting us.